Y'all, we are so excited to be here today with all of you here as you're watching us. Look at this. This is so great. We already have so many wonderful people here. Hello, Kristen. Hello, Stephanie. And hi, my name is Elsie Escobar. I am the Director of Community and Content over here at Libsyn, and we are so happy to have you here. This is going to be our last live event in this fashion where we get a chance to talk with you guys and help you know things about podcasting and really at the core be as helpful as possible and keep you podcasting. So today we're just going to be talking about our favorite things of 2023. Everybody loves their favorite things. So it's super fun, super low key. Put us up in the background and just join us. And while we're talking about our favorite things, if you have favorite things that you really love, go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll just keep on adding it and share all of the fun things. So it really is just about fun, a great way to bring us all together towards the end of the year and to find out about new workflows and fun hardware and apps and things like that, plus get a little bit of insight into our team and what we're doing. So who is here today, my friends? Oh my God. So we have all kinds of really amazing folks here from the Libsyn team. Let's say hello to first Rob Walt, who is our VP of Enterprise and Platform Partnerships. And we also have Dave Jackson, Head of Podcaster Education. And finally, we have our Brian Coddington, who is video designer and editor. And seriously, none of this would be happening if it wasn't for Brian. In all honesty, he makes us look this good, people. This good. Look at us. Fancy. Without him, we wouldn't look so fancy. We'd be scrambling around trying to look, presentable at all times. So, thanks so much, everybody, for coming here today and hanging out with us and being here. So, okay, let's get started because we really love... I know. Cheryl, thanks so much. I have to give a shout out to Cheryl. Yes, I love my hair too. It's very cute. I really love my hair. And Kristen is here from Colorado. I know.
Yeah, I know. I'm in the same boat. I have hair envy. Hair envy.
Do you? Yeah, hair envy and all the things. Okay. We are going to start off by chatting all about our, everybody loves hardware. Am I right? Give us a shout out because I think we all get hardware every year. Am I right about this?
Mm-hmm.
At least one thing.
At least one thing.
At least. Yeah.
At least one thing. Correct. Okay, so we're going to be talking about favorite podcasting hardware right now. And I'm going to actually send it over to you, Brian. I'm going to start off with you. So give us the scoop on your hardware, your favorite hardware for 2023, please.
Cool. So I actually, because I do a lot of video stuff, you'd think that the hardware I would choose would be like a special camera or something like that. Not at all. So while we were at Podcast Movement in Denver this year, I got to use the Rode Podmic Go 2s. And I thought these were great to do all of our audio recording for some of the content we recorded. But of course, right after Podcast Movement, Rode comes out with what I think are seriously amazing pieces of hardware, and that is the Rode Wireless Pros. These are little tiny recorders that can serve as both a lavalier and a recorder, and these things record 32-bit float audio in a 32 gigabyte space. So for someone who maybe is doing video podcasting, or even if you just kind of don't want to have a big honking mic like this in front of you, the fact that you can record something like that and not really worry about clipping because you're in 32-bit float is just amazing. I mean, the thing even can generate time code for your camera, which for syncing up your audio and video is just, it's a game changer in my opinion. So that's my personal favorite piece of equipment.
What the heck is time? Whatever you just said. Time what?
Time code?
Yeah.
Time code.
Oh, time code. Oh, I thought you said
time code.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you mean when you're recording, it gives you a little time thing, and then when you go edit, it already has a little thingy in it?
Yeah. So when you're in something like Premiere Pro, you have the option to either sync your audio track to either a scratch track. So let's say we're recording something right now, and maybe you're using an external recorder. More often than not, you're going to use something like a clap or just your own voice to try to sync the scratch track that you recorded on your camera with your second system audio. But what the Rode Wireless Pros give you is the ability to generate time code for the audio that then can send to your camera. And usually on higher end productions, this is something that you would get in a more expensive option. Like I think the Rode Wireless Pros, I think are maybe around like $400. So it's not crazy expensive, but the fact that it gives you that option to generate timecode just means it's easier to do something like a second system audio with your camera than it is to just go off of your voice. Because sometimes there's variations in, you know, your voice between scratch track and the second system audio. And I just think that's a really awesome feature.
That's so cool. That I love it so much. And so now, Rob, I'm putting you on the spot here. What is your favorite for this year?
This little guy here, which is the MVX2U. So I'll pull disconnected. This is a Shure SM58, and what's nice about this, very portable, very small. You can shove it in your pocket, but you get lint on it. But it fits in nicely. It's XLR mic, plug it in, USB-C 2, and then the beauty is if you have an iPad Pro, the new iPad Pros that have the USB-C port, or the iPhone 15, any iPhone 15, the new iPhone 15, you can then just connect that, and then all you need for a portable recording gear is a USB-C cord to USB-C, plug it into your iPhone 15, and off you go to a trade show, and you can do recording. It has a port for headphones, so you can monitor, which is really important. So anybody that ever is recorded at a trade show, this is a really nice device. You can bring a Shure SM58 mic, plugs right into it. It also works nice with my new MacBook Pro that has USB-C ports, so I can plug right in there and record mobily. So that is my favorite new hardware. I think it was about $130. You can get it B&H, obviously, and all the other places. But that's my new favorite because it works with any XLR mic. You can even use it with the Samsung Q2U. So right there.
Oh, I love that.
Very cool.
So
yeah, like I have one too, and I have to say that I wish this would have been a thing right when I got started too, just because I think the portability of that little device, the MVX2U, is everything. It's everything. And that way you don't have to add so many more things. Does anybody else have that? Brian or Dave?
I don't. I've been using just external like recorders, and I use my ATR 2100 if I'm ever in the field.
Yeah.
But if I'm using my phone, like that, I think right there is a game changer to be able to like use a higher end microphone with your phone, because everyone's got one of those. So like, it's really cool.
It's
especially trade shows. You go to CES, if you're going to CES or any, and you want to interview people, now it's one mic, phone. You don't have to have a whole bunch of gear. Just boom, boom, boom.
Love that. And now speaking of, microphones and whatnot, it is your turn, Dave Jackson. What do you have for us to share of all the fun things?
Yeah, I'm actually using it right now. It's the Rode Podmic USB, which Rob had mentioned, the Samsung Q2U, which is nice because it has XLR and USB. Well, so does this mic. And what I love about it is we all love our Rodecasters, and they have this built-in effects. Well, this comes with software. You plug the microphone in, you add a little bass, you add a little treble, some compression, maybe a noise gate, and then you save those settings into the microphone. So now you have, let's say the software's at home, you plug the microphone into your laptop and you're out on the road, the settings are in the microphone. So it's really, really cool. And it's $200. And yeah, it's more than the Samsung Q2U, but because of that functionality that you can kind of really tweak the microphone to your sound, to me, I was like, that's a really cool thing. It also has, I won't take it off now, but this is like a monster pop filter, and there's a lot of hot air coming out of my mouth. So I tend to pop microphones a lot. And it makes it so it's not, I have a hard time popping this thing. So it's and it's black and it's cool looking. So I mean, what more do you want?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're all going for the looks too. The one thing that, although you got to tell me though, Dave, is it like super, like, could you kill somebody if you threw that thing hard at them?
Kind of, yeah.
There's one, because I think I have the Samsung Q9U, and that thing is like,
yeah,
that thing, if I like swang it, it would.
I think that's a feature of all Rode pod mic products is the ability to kill somebody with them.
Yeah.
Mine is a little, I love this little mic. It's very special. This is a Hio PR30 and it's gold. And I don't really see too many of those. I really love this mic too. I love my other mic, my Shure microphones as well, but I don't see, I just really like to, I think by the way, still love the Shure stuff. But I see it so much now that I'm feeling like I want to do something that nobody else has. And it feels like my little mic is something that nobody else really has. Anyway, okay, so now I'm going to share with you guys what I chose as mine. I'll give a little, a little show and tell because I have this, it's not an audio thing. It's this little camera. Look at how cute it is. Look at how it moves. Like if I turn it around, it's like a little robot. It's a little tiny robot R2D2, Rob. I'm sure that you would love it. This little thing is so cute. And the reason that I got this, it's for an external camera for, what do you call it? The computer, right? So it's for the computer. It doesn't stand alone at all. But it is the cutest little thing because it moves around and it follows me and it goes 360 all the way around. It's got some amazing software added to it also. So I've been able to use it when I was teaching a yoga class. I put it up on a tripod and then I had 2 scenes already set up. One of them that was close up on me while I was just sitting down, and it was just like my basically 3/4 shot looking straight to camera, and then I just pressed a little button and it expanded all the way back and it gave me like a full wide view of the mat and me moving in full body shot, and I was just like, that is so great. I also really dug buying that because the portability of it, you saw how tiny it was. I can stick it in my bag and have probably really the best audio, the best video that I can while I'm on the go. And one of the reasons that I bought that is because sometimes I have to travel unexpectedly, or I have to set up an impromptu like video something or other. And I didn't want to just go with like a huge, I didn't want to carry this camera that I'm using right now. I didn't want to carry that. It's a little bit too hard. And I also had other webcams that were less than stellar. And I decided to go ahead and use it's called the Insta 360 Link. So again, it's a webcam, but it is a magical little webcam that I adore so much. And it is the cutest little thing, winning on the cuteness because I love the cuteness stuff. I love it. I love it. So.
I think we were joking when you got that we called it a droid.
It is
because it's like a droid. It's basically that.
Yes, and it's like if you put it on the computer, it goes drink, drink, drink. It moves so cute. Rob, you would be like, if you look at it, you would want to just love on it.
How much is it?
I think it's $250 something. Corey, who's in the chat, by the way, would you mind telling us how much that is? I can't really click through to the thing, but it is, I think, $200 and something. It wasn't a cheap one. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm just gonna buy one. I did the research, and I also had purchased another webcam that left me wanting. And I thought, you know what? I can't be spending my time trying to test all the stuff out. And this one, the minute I put it on, it was fantastic. It's a fantastic little camera. I love it so much. All right, folks. Do we have anything else that we want to talk about in terms of hardware that really needs to be mentioned? Anybody? Does anybody in the chat have anything that you want to share with us of some hardware that you've found that you really
Oh,
love?
there you go. Stream
Oh, the
Deck.
Stream Deck. That's right.
I'm
The
in love with
Stream
my Stream Deck.
This Yes, I have one too. It is the
Yeah.
best. It really is the best. It's the
I have the little 6-button tiny one. That's what I use.
Yeah.
For various like, because I'm starting to do video now for my podcast, but it definitely is handy.
What is Dave, which size do you have?
I have that one, which is, what is this one called? The Stream Deck Plus, and
I got questions about it.
And I thought this was going to be, it's cooler if you want to like adjust volumes and things like that, but I don't need to do that. So I have the Stream Deck XL, which has like, I don't know, 32 buttons on it or something like that. And what a Stream Deck does is like, I can say, like Elsie just switched to my scene. And when she switches back to the four of us, and that's just a button. You basically say, when I press this button, do this. So I do a thing on Saturday morning, I do a live show, and I have my notes in Apple Notes. And I said, look, when I click this button, show my Apple Notes. So I can show the question. You can have it set up that like, when I push this button, send a tweet on Twitter that says, or X, or whatever we're calling it this week, that we're live. It's basically, when I press this button, you do this. So it's pretty slick. And I found out that you can actually have more than one item assigned to a button. So when I do my sponsor on my show, I click this button, it starts the background music, it switches to a PDF of all the information about the sponsor. It's really, really handy, and it's very addicting. That's the other thing.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I also have it just for you guys to see. Let me see if I can switch over to my solo so that you can see.
Ah,
So
there we go.
I have
very
the big
cool.
one. And then if you can see in there, I don't know if you can read it, but it says Dave, it says vertical, it says, everybody's name, whatever. So all of these little buttons, all I have to do is press a button. So I'm going to go ahead and press the wide shot, which is like right down here. I'm just going to press that wide shot, and it got to here. And so it's really cool to just be able to press these little buttons and then be able to switch, and it looks so fancy. You do have to kind of get used to being able to do all of the things at the same time so that it's not like you're not futzing around all the time. So there is a sense of practice, and I've been able to put like, in terms of moving from scene to scene, I have it set up to the bottom left. So if I have to move from scenes, I just press with my thumb and I can find that without stopping the eye contact. So you do have to work through some of that stuff, but I love the Stream Deck. It's so helpful. Oh, by the way, you guys, you can use it for like Zoom calls. And you can have it set up so that it stops, like you can put it to mute. You can show, and you can, mute and unmute yourself. You can show your camera, turn the camera off. You can change the layout with a button so that if it's got like gallery view or like one person view, you can put all that stuff in there. You can leave a meeting by pressing a button too. You can end a meeting by pressing a button too. So it's got all kinds of really wonderful built-in things, because I know for me, I'm constantly going like, where's the mute button? And I could never find it. So I love it so much. I love it. Yeah. And like the A&P professor says that he has different profiles with different buttons.
Yep.
So, because it's,
I have that with
so good.
one for OBS and one for Ecamm.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. All right, so let's move on to favorite software and workflows. Let's start with you, Rob. I'm going to ask you about your plight for the perfect software.
So those who don't know, I had my my MacBook Pro 2019 Intel processor one crash and burn, a horrible basic death in October, and I had to switch over and get the new MacBook. The problem with the new MacBook is Levelator doesn't work. Auphonic, the standalone Auphonic app doesn't work. So my apps for leveling and getting everything at the right levels died with the MacBook. So when I had to go out and find something, and I found a program called TO Audio Converter, TO Audio Converter, $29 Mac app store app. So you don't have to worry about if it's installing viruses or malware or anything. You can get it right in the Mac App Store. tried it out. You had to tweak it a little bit. It's not like Levelator where there's no tweaking. It just works. It just is one you have to mess around with the settings until you got everything the way you wanted it. But once I got it worked out, it seems to be working pretty good. And it's close to where I was with Levelator. Not as good, but it's better than nothing. So that's what I've been using the last month in replacement of Levelator. So and then the other thing this year was the Adobe Enhanced Speech, using that, which has been nice because especially some editing I do where I have to take out people's and ums. It does a good job taking out the breaths. Yeah, it takes a good job taking the breaths and the little clicks and tips, vocal ticks out.
I've had hit or miss things with is it the Adobe Podcast thing? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Sometimes
it's hit or miss.
People's voice up. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had to like take the slider on it because you can kind of dial in how much enhancement you want. So I tend to hit it like around 50 to 60, and that seems to be the sweet spot. But yeah, glad it's working.
Yeah. Sometimes it will take S's off the end of words. So in editing, I'm like, okay, well, I'll go find an S and move it over. At the end, so I'll have to do that a couple times. Yeah, sometimes it's a little aggressive on its enhancement.
On the enhancement, that's right. And what's really interesting is that what I ended up doing when it takes out the S's stuff, I usually end up having like a little clip of just an S that I've.
Yep. That's what I
could just copy and paste.
Yeah, I literally will go through when I'm editing. I'll write down the time code where I need to go back and add them later. I was like, okay, the next time I find a good S, I'll go back to those time codes and add them.
Yeah, it's really hard, folks. Finding like a replacement for that. It's, Bandrew, it's so good that not good that you're having the same problem, but we're all kind of scrambling to find that simple thing that does the one simple thing. That it seems to be so easy. We need something so heavy.
That was the beauty of Levelator, right? It did a great job, and there was no settings. You couldn't mess it up. It just worked.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right, Brian. What about you? What do you got going on in terms of workflows?
So it might be surprising to people, but my podcast, which is called the Cinema Psycho Show, it's a movie review and comedy podcast.
Okay, Brian, you got to slow down. You got to slow down and tell everybody the name of your show so that
the name of the show is called the Cinema Psychos Show.
Great. Okay.
There you go.
Can pick it up.
So
which you can find the business cards at our booths whenever we're at a trade show.
That's right. So I have only done audio only for this podcast since I started in 2016, and I had created a Discord channel for it this year because I really wanted to get kind of audience interaction. And I asked them the question, I'm like, would you want a video version of this? Knowing full well that opens up a can of worms that I was not 100% prepared for. So I asked them and I got some feedback, and they said that they really would like to have a video version. So the past, I'd say, month or so, I've been really trying to experiment with trying to find what I'm calling the low edit video podcast workflow that is using only free products. So yeah. Just because, a lot of these things that are good solutions, like, and I have nothing against them, but it's like another thing to add on to, pay for. And I want to try to find something, especially because I'm not 100% sure if this is something that's going to be long-term, that I can do on the free side. So my workflow currently is I do my show with video through Open Broadcaster, OBS. A lot of streamers and gamers use OBS. It's a great free platform that has a lot of community support behind it. And I bring my co-host John in using VDO.Ninja, which is another open source platform that gives you like near zero latency with the guests coming in. Like we are able to get like HD level audio and video coming in. So I pipe that into Open Broadcaster. And then the other thing I've been doing is experimenting with adding audio filters onto my audio channels as I'm recording. So that's another step that I'm trying to like take away, because I usually spend a good bit of time in Audition doing audio filters and stuff to it. And then the other thing too is that I've done a lot of TikTok this past year and really grown my TikTok profile. So I wanted to make sure that this setup could also facilitate recording virtual. And I found this awesome plugin for OBS that's free called I think it's called the Aitum vertical plugin for OBS. And what's neat about this is that you can actually tie in your regular like widescreen recording scenes in OBS to a mirror of OBS with vertical setup scenes. So like on my Stream Deck, if I want to change angles from say my solo shot to my co-host's solo shot and to a 2-shot, I could do that on my Stream Deck, and it'll do it on both the widescreen recording that goes out to YouTube and then also my vertical version.
Oh my
so it's
God.
really crazy, and this is all free stuff.
Oh
Like,
my God.
That's the thing that's nuts about this. This is all free stuff. And that's not to say anything wrong about Ecamm. I love Ecamm, and we use it for Libsyn all the time.
We're using it right now.
We're using it right time. But I wanted to try to find a solution that is free. Now, the one thing, and there's a double-edged sword to it. Free usually means you got to play around with it, and you got to like tinker. So if you're not in that mindset, if you want something that's like a press one button and you're good to go, this setup isn't for you. But if you're someone who likes to go kind of under the hood and play around with it, it's a really fun setup. And I think this might be a video we do maybe next year about
tell
how
Brian
to
to
do
make that video, people in the chat.
Yeah, tell me to make it. I'll make it.
Whether or not he makes it or not is going to be your fault.
It's up to you.
Jackson, what's going on with you and your workflows?
Yeah, I try to do a little bit of everything, and when you do that, eventually you run out of time. And so my focus this year was, let's figure out what's working. And so my 2 pieces of software that I love, one is called Switchy.io. This is on AppSumo, by the way, right now for a lifetime deal. And what it is I can say, look, I want you to go to, mywebsite.com, and then you can make a cool name, like you can apply a domain to it. So I have supportthishow.com, and then whatever is after that. So if I say, I don't know, supportthishow.com/Switchy, that goes to my affiliate link for Switchy. And I can see how many people clicked on it, when they clicked on it, where they were from, all sorts of stuff. You can go in and make a QR code. So if you're a speaker and you have a thing for, download my PDF, you could get a QR code of that PDF and not only, make it easy for people to scan it, but also you can see how many people downloaded my PDF when I talked at, Podcast Movement or something like that. So it's great for tracking kind of inbound stuff and outbound stuff. My other thing is also about links, is called Genius Link. And I've been kicked out of the Amazon Associates program twice for very legitimate reasons that I didn't realize. Like, did you know you're not supposed to put associate links in email? I know that now. And they will bust you for that. And so I found this Genius Link. And what it does, it's the same thing. It makes a cute little Genius Link / Rode Podmic or something, and it goes to your affiliate link. And what I love about it is some people love Amazon, some people hate it. So I could have an Amazon link, a B&H link, I have a Sweetwater affiliate. I could put my Sweetwater affiliate. And what's cool is when people go to that, it says, hey, you're going to an affiliate link. So that whole thing that you have to disclose that this is an affiliate, I might earn money, that's right on that page. So it makes it really easy to not accidentally get yourself kicked out of the Amazon Associates program. And then because we're podcasters, there's so many stats. So I can see, I have categories like gear and books and stuff like that. So I can see what's getting the most traffic. But what I loved about it is I used it about a month, and it's like, you're getting a lot of traffic from Italy. And I'm like, I am? And so I went over and signed up for the Amazon affiliate for Italy. And then there were just a bunch of other versions of Amazon Associates. And so it tracks everything, it makes everything, keeps me compliant. And so both those kind of are tracking what works and what doesn't. And so those are 2 things. And then my last thing in terms of workflow and how I didn't use this before is Apple Notes. I was a huge Evernote guy, and it turns out that half the stuff that Evernote does, I don't really need. and I just need a place to write a note. And there's nothing better than Apple Notes for that. And you can assign them into folders and all sorts of other fun things. You can put links. And so I am a big Apple Notes power user now.
Good. I have always been a big power user of Notes. Yeah. And they're getting so much better now because they're going to be like linking within Notes starting here very soon, which is something that I do almost on the daily for my software that I love, which is it's really my daily driver as of kind of work and everything, almost everything else is Obsidian. I have been working with Obsidian ever since Obsidian came into the scene. And it is at its core a text app. Like you write things in it, but it can do so much more. The complexity of what you can do and how you can expand all the things that it does is really as big as the time that you have invested in it. You can make it your project management system. You can create like Kanban boards in it. It can have an entire like brainstorming thing in there, like mind mapping stuff. Like there's like it has little software that plugins that you can add to it, which is really, really cool. And I enjoy so much using this. And the way that I use it that works really well for me is ever since I was using Apple Notes, and even prior to that, I create a daily note every day for everything that I'm writing. So because I've been burned so many different times when I'm online, if I'm writing a response on social, and usually they're really long responses and like, when I was on Facebook a lot of the time, way back in the day, because I'm not there that much anymore, I was writing these long responses to people. And a lot of the time I lost the page, the browser refreshed, something happened and I lost all that writing. So I started to write everything in my daily note, and I just have it in there. There's a template comes up and I put all my writing in there, every email, every social post, everything that comes into my head, all my meetings, notes that I take on the meetings. And then I actually link them to, like, let's say we're having a meeting. I have a note for each one of you guys here. And then I just highlight that and it creates a link to a note that is just your note. And that way I know, oh my God, I was talking to Rob about, I don't know, like new hardware that we have to do our schedule for the feed next year. When were we talking? Wait, I think it was on Thursday. And then I'll go to my Thursday. And then on Thursday, I have a link to Rob. And then Rob and every other time that I've spoken to Rob is there too. It's kind of hard for me to really get into all that stuff. But I have all the feed notes in there, my show notes in there. And I just search for everything and it's all in there. But it all starts with the daily note because I have a template for that, comes up. And I have an easy reference for that for myself. The other app that I really love is a really teeny Mac app, and it's called Hand Mirror. It solves one problem only. I don't know if you guys have had this in the past where you're going into a Zoom call or some kind of Google Meet or something like that, and everybody starts turning on their cameras, and you're like, oh, God. But you don't know if the camera is even on, if it's working, or at least for me, like how I look. And so I turn on Hand Mirror, and Hand Mirror is a tiny little app. It opens up and it's essentially the mirror of like you could look at yourself and you can check to see if the camera's working, and you can also check to see if the audio is working without having to turn the camera on Zoom and or anywhere else. So that way I make sure everything's working. I make sure that it's in frame and all that stuff. So when I do have to turn the camera on, you don't have to kind of like turn it on and then like go, oh no, the background, oh no, all the things, right? So you can do it like that. I really, really love to use my little Obsidian thing too. And lastly, I would say to me, Otter.Ai is everything. Like today, I've been using Otter now for almost 3 years. Ever since the pandemic, I started to using it heavily. And now since it basically transcribes almost all the meetings that I'm in, and sometimes I have many a day, I'm able to very quickly go back and find out things that I missed. People told me to do stuff that I forget because I forget all the time. There's too many things going on. And like today, I was looking for a process of a meeting that I had with Rich in July. And I was really quickly able to go back into my meeting with him in July. I knew the date and I just asked, like, what did Rich ask me to do? What's the process? And it popped out and I was like, yes, I feel so smart. And that happened literally within 90 seconds. I would have never been able to do that prior. Mind you, I did go to my note on Obsidian first, and I took notes on that meeting, and then I went into the Otter transcription so I could really get specific. So those are all things that I love that I was doing. So, yay. That is it for me. Does anybody else have anything to say, you guys?
I've been using the Chat GPT for
yeah.
things, which I only use that. I don't use the other crazy AI stuff that's out there. I've been using Chat GPT to do the meta descriptions for my podcast, like pages that I put up. Just because I don't know about you, but I always struggle with kind of coming up with that 140 characters of what your episode's about. So Chat GPT's helped me on that front.
That is, yeah. And I mean, just as long as it becomes helpful, I'm all cool with it. So we are going to go to our last little portion of all the favorites of 2023 by going into our favorites goings on, is what I said, where it's like stuff that was your favorite that is news related or event related or something that happened this year that is either podcasting adjacent or so that just was a great thing. So Brian, give us what happened this time for you this year.
For me, I got to go to Podcast Movement for the first time ever. Got to meet all of you in person, which again is crazy. Just because I've told Elsie and Dave and Rob this before, but like I was a Libsyn customer before I started working here and listened to the feed religiously every week. So, getting hired here, getting to work with you all has been great, but then getting to meet you all in person was just awesome. And on top of that, getting to speak at Podcast Movement about editing was a blast. Nerve-wracking, but still a blast. So that was my big goings on happenings for me. News story wise, I mean, the YouTube TikTok integration with RSS is pretty cool. Until I got an email from TikTok yesterday saying that they are phasing out the podcast RSS thing that they were trying out. Yeah. And I was using it like every week I was putting an episode out. I'd link my TikToks to that episode, but I guess they're phasing it out.
Oh, Rob, have you ever heard of a big company jumping into something and then jumping out?
No, never heard of it.
No, never.
Wow.
I might have to Google that to see if there's any instances of that.
Well, it drove me nuts because TikTok, the videos I would make for TikTok would get tons of views, more so than Instagram, more so than YouTube Shorts. And that integration to be able to be like, hey, click the episode down here to listen to the full thing. I'm like, this is great. And whether or not that was working, I don't know. But it was a neat little way of being able to link to your episode that they're just kind of like saying, yeah, it was great, but we're not going to continue that. So.
Oh, yeah. Look, Stephanie. Yes, you have to subscribe to the feed, the official Libsyn podcast.
You do.
Oh my God, so good. Yeah, and it's between Rob and I by like my co-host right there. He's right there. Okay. All right. So Rob, what about you? What's up with what's your favorite goings on this year?
One of the was Roseanne Barr having a podcast, whether you like her or not, but she is a huge celebrity, and her coming in is always good for the space. Whenever you get a celebrity and she's really gotten into it, they just had, and again, you may not like who some of her guests are, but she just had an interview with Tucker Carlson, and it was really interesting that the difference between her interview with Tucker Carlson and other interviews with Tucker Carlson, where there was another one that came out right about the same time, and the guests on the other show were all like trying to kiss Tucker's butt, but Roseanne was just talking as a peer, and it gives a different feel to it. So it's just nice having her in the space and really embracing it. Then Apple adding, the other thing that I liked this year was Apple finally adding episode artwork. After all these years of having custom artwork, it's really nice that Apple finally supports it. So those were the what I would say my more positives from this year. The sad news from this year, because there's always good and there's bad. The sad news: Stitcher closing down. The announcement of the closing of Google Podcasts in the future, and Castro app maybe closing. Well, right now tentatively looking to be closed in a couple months, but we'll see if that actually happens. But those 3 apps being announced to being closed down, it was sad. I mean, at one point in time, Stitcher was like the number 2 place where people were consuming podcasts. Google Podcasts has been number 3 for the last multiple years. So that's on the sad side. People getting out of supporting podcasting in certain ways.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff for sure. And speaking of, like, I'm going to take it on here, and one of my favorite things, which I didn't really want to stick to a lot of the news and whatnot, just because, and as you were talking, Roseanne got into the scene, and then my favorite was this, y'all. Listen, I love this. So this is Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy. And the reason that I call this a win, and my favorite thing, is the fact that Alex really started essentially on her own. And yes, it was for Barstool. She did her podcast at Barstool, and there was payment obviously involved for her to be producing it at that time with a co-host. But, right around the pandemic is when she and her co-host essentially broke up, and she took it on her own and was able to get one of the biggest deals in podcasting with Spotify. But here's why I'm such a stan for Alex, is the fact that for the most part, especially at the beginning all the way through the pandemic, she was running everything, meaning she was recording her show, she was editing her show, she was doing all of it hands-on. She negotiated the deal with Spotify, adding her own editing to the mix, meaning she wasn't going to be outsourcing the production of the show. She kept all that money. So she started off that way. She is essentially, when she went to school, that's what she studied, broadcasting and or video production. So she's very good with video and audio and all of those things that she put it into. It was like she had that in her toolbox to be able to take that on and not have to have that extra expense, right? So she did have to learn a lot. And of course, now the way that Call Her Daddy is working, it's one of the top podcasts within, at least in Spotify, in 2023. But just the fact that we have a podcaster on a magazine, podcaster first, right? She wasn't a movie star. She wasn't like a influencer. She was a podcaster first, and her fame came from being a podcaster and having conversations, and she's in a cover of fashion magazine. So that to me is a win, because come on now. I mean, seriously, do y'all know any other podcasters who have in a mainstream magazine like this that are podcaster first? Not a fan, not a, had a TV show, were well known before, but started as a podcaster and then a cover of a very well known magazine. Anybody?
No,
I guess
don't
Travis
know.
Kelce was
Not on the cover.
He was football player first.
Not on the cover. That's right.
on the cover.
And by the way, she had 2 covers, because this is cover number 1. They gave her 2 covers, so this might not be the one that you see wherever you are. So anyway, that gives me hope. And that was my big news. What about you, Dave Jackson?
Yeah, mine has, the reason I loved it is more of a personal story. It's podindy.com. It's a single track podcast conference that happened in Indianapolis. And Dr. Brad Miller ran it and said, hey, can you come over and do a workshop? And I'm like, wait, you want me to talk about podcasting? Yeah, I think I can do that. And so it was great fun. But what was interesting, and it went really great. I love single track small events, because by the time that was over, there were maybe, 80 to 100 people there. And by the time it's over, you've met everyone. So I love single track, smaller events. But at the end, they had Brad does Cancer and Comedy. It's a podcast he just started this year, and he kind of used that to launch his show. And at the end, they had a comedy show. This guy, Rick Roberts, does a spot on Barney Fife, for those of us that remember Barney Fife imitation. He's a really funny guy, but they needed an opening act. And so Brad said, Dave, why don't you do like 5 minutes of comedy? And I'm like, me? And I'm like, I'm not really a comedian. And, but I was this year for 5 minutes and nobody threw anything at me. So it was, I loved it because it pushed me so far out of my comfort zone. And I learned a lot about stand-up comedy. I learned a lot about me, and I met some really great people. And from what I understand, they're going to bring it back next year. So podindy.com was a lot of fun.
Yay, we love that. I love that stuff. And you know what's so great is that that was probably one thing that I would not necessarily feel like I excel at. If somebody said, can you do stand-up
I really thought I was
for 5 minutes, I'd be like,
I really thought I was going to explode because my body didn't know what to feel. It was beyond nervous and excited, and I'm going to look stupid. And so my brain was going a million miles an hour. But here's what calmed me down. I said, this is going to be a podcast episode eventually. And so I started thinking about not so much about me, but I thought about the audience and making them laugh, and took the focus off me. And I was able to get out there and make them laugh.
Comedy is one of those the hardest things to do, just because everyone has a different sense of humor. So, and I just say that just because my podcast, we do a lot of comedy, and some of it lands, some of it doesn't. And that's just kind of thing. So the fact you went up on stage and did it,
only has to land for one person to be a good
That's
joke.
true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Oh, that's a good one. But what I can say this though, y'all, if you have me in the audience, I'm a good audience member because I will laugh.
Yes.
So in that
You're
respect,
the plant audience member. Every comedian, get Elsie. She'll be your plant
it's like,
audience member.
It is. That would be amazing. And I just want to give a big shout out. I think for me, in terms of favorite things of 2023, was just like these events and having our team work through all of this stuff and all the hard work that everybody has put in to make us look good, especially you, Brian. Thank you so much for everything that you do to help all this stuff together. He makes us really look good. And Corey behind the scenes, like managing the chat and doing all this stuff, getting these incredible guests to come in. Like, you guys, listen, go into our live little tab inside of the YouTube channel for Libsyn. There's some like amazing stuff in there. If you sit down like during the holiday break, or if you have a couple of, maybe watch one or two during your weekends or something like that, I promise you that you will learn so many amazing things to keep you podcasting, because we've spent a lot of time curating some of the best people to come in here and talk with you guys. And we have so many incredible things planned for 2024 that are around these events as well. So I'm really happy, and I think we're trying to push it up and keep on doing really good stuff all the time. All right, folks, listen. Do you have any questions? Anybody out there? Any questions? We would love to answer your questions. If you have any cues, and we can A them.
That's a good one. That you gotta use that one for lives in 2024.
Oh
If
yes,
you have any
that's
cues,
right.
we can aid them.
We can put that in there, whether or not they're whatever you want. We would love to do that, and we would really appreciate it. If not, I actually have one last question for our panelists here today as we start to wrap up our time together. But if you do have any questions, add a cue to the beginning of your question. Oh, look, there we go. Corey Fry is an American hero. Crackers and soup. Is that the mighty Bethany Hawkins in the house? Oh, I missed that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So yes, I know that I saw some people in there that were saying they wanted to get started with your podcast. So Marcel, I can see that you posted, when can I start my podcasting? Well, you can watch a live next week with Dave Jackson. I think he's got something really great coming your way. And he's going to be doing some amazing things next year as well.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to actually hey, everybody. Great question. Wait, there was a question. There we go. What do you think? Oh, here we go. Here we got a question. What do you think is the best focus point for podcasters in 2024? It's kind of like along the lines of what I asked you guys about preparation, but anyway. Thoughts?
I always say this: don't do video if you don't want to do video. Stay on your audio. Stay focused on that. Too many people telling people to jump into video, and if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Just stay with your audio. There's only 400,000 active podcasts that do audio. Stick with it.
And there's ways to go to do video without doing video, by the way. Right, Brian? We've been doing a lot of research on some of that stuff.
There are. Video is just, it's a lot of work. I mean, I described kind of a workflow I'm trying to do, and that is someone who does video for a living trying to make it work. So it is definitely a beast. I guess my big thing is just, I think a lot of people focus on like the best ways to grow your audience. That's important, but I think just focus on your content first. Like that is the key. If it's not good, or if it's problematic, or you just don't test it with people, then it doesn't matter if your audience is going to grow or not. So like that's I guess where I would say the focus point should be.
Yeah.
Bingo. That's my my bumper sticker is spend $100 on a microphone and spend 100 hours getting to know your audience, because especially now there's going to be so much more AI stuff coming down. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like Frosted Flakes now with AI. You know, it's just getting crazy. And so lean into your humanness and share your stories. But when you know what your audience is, imposter syndrome lessens because you're not guessing, is this good? Right? You're giving them exactly what they want. So as you always deliver value and ask your audience to share, those are some basics that never go out of style.
All of that stuff. One of the questions that I asked us to kind of close today with was, what should podcasters prepare for? Which is kind of the same question, Kristen, which is what is the best focus? And for me, as I've been watching the conversations out there, I said, prepare for fun and prepare for work. So it is okay. One of the things that I want to drive home is that if you want to do podcasting just for fun, because it really is fun. It's fun to work with gear. It's fun to learn how to record stuff. It's fun to create your show. It's fun to have friends to co-host with you if that's what you like. It's fun to meet, people to come on your show and interview them and get to know people. Like all of that stuff is enough. Like it gives you so much goodness in your life. It adds so much to your life. Figuring out workflows, having to troubleshoot, like all of those things are challenging, but at the same time, it's fun and you can do so much good stuff. And that's enough. Like there's so much that you can learn from that. You have to choose whether or not maybe you just want to do this for fun and for learning new things, the end. And if you want to make money, if you want to make a living, if you want to really get a big audience because you want to drive whatever to your business, and prepare to do the work, because then there is an element of that fun that is taken away. Then you have to do the things. You have to do your podcast. You have to make sure your show notes are clean. You have to make sure that your audio is amazing. You have to make sure that you have appropriate links to get people to convert to whatever it is that you're doing. You have to promote your show. You have to test things out to see what's working and what's not working. So there's so many heavier, harder things that you have to do when you want to make money. And you have to invest the time and resources in the long run to make it really work for you. The fun part, you could just always do, and it's always going to be there. You'll always have fun. But with the work part, you gotta be ready for that. You gotta be prepared for that when you get into it for that reason. So, yes, that is what I have to say about that. Oh, here's another question. Oh, we have a couple of them. Oh, wow, look, we have questions. All right, here we go. Stephanie says, I know Elsie has a podcast school and Dave Jackson has a school. How many schools should one join, do you think? Oh my God.
Well, I guess the answer is at least 2.
Yeah, at least 2.
Well, listen, I don't actually have a school. I mean, this is my school as of now. I've been really focusing on Libsyn content. So if you want to go to my school, just watch our live events. That's great. Now, Dave has a lot of resources. So I don't know. What do you say, Dave?
I kind of want to say, of course I'm going to say mine, but no, it doesn't really, I don't want to say it doesn't matter either, because there are some people that are consultants. Don't get me started. But I do run into people that have too many cooks in the kitchen. They'll have like 5 consultants and somebody be like, you got to be in video. And the next person's like, if you got the budget and the time, maybe if you want to. And then another person will be like, oh, you can use insert competitor of Libsyn, and then the other person would be like, no, you got to. So when you get too many consultants and they don't all share the same opinion, you end up in paralysis by analysis because you can't figure out what to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay, we have something from Bethany. What is the one thing that keeps you in the medium of podcasting after all these years?
For me, the same thing that started me in the medium, the desire to help people get into podcasting, to free speech. It's just about free speech, democratization of the media. That's why I got in it, and that's why I stay with it.
For me, it's the fans. So I mentioned that I started Discord, and one of the first people who came on the Discord is a longtime fan of the show and told me that they were re-listening to my older episodes. I have nearly 300 episodes. I'm coming up. We just recorded episode 295 yesterday, and they said they were re-listening to my back catalog. And this was of someone who had constantly already listened to it. So like getting messages like that is validation for me that what I'm doing is good and that it's actually like connecting with people. That's what keeps me into it.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Same thing here. My background's in teaching. I had somebody in support yesterday that said, holy cow, Dave Jackson answered my ticket. I can't believe this. Because of your podcast, I started my podcast and I'm having the time of my life. And that's what always gets me, it puts gas in my tank. When I love when somebody says, I want you to help me start a podcast, but I can't do it. There's no way I can do this. And, 2 months later, they're like, I'm in Apple. I don't believe it. So that always puts gas in my tank.
We love the gas. I think for me, it's just the fact that it's getting behind the mic and doing the thing is actually very fun. Speaking of fun, it's very fun for me. It's very fun for me to put on something. It energizes me when I record something meaningful, when I put stuff out there. And the reason that I was so focused on having it be enough is because sometimes creating a show gives me something. I don't care about the listeners or the people who are watching or all of that stuff. It actually helps me be better as a human because it adds to all of the things that I can be better at. And it's given me so much as a person who is developing constant skills to do so many things. So I like it for its own sake. I'm a big podcaster for its own sake, a creator for its own sake. So that's what I love.
It's the best $7 therapy you will ever buy.
Yes.
No joke. No joke.
Yeah.
Yes. For sure. We have one last question here. Thinking of video, but not excited about playing with the free tools like Brian. What's another level that I can do? Record with Riverside? So shall we drop some names here?
I mean, yeah, Riverside, your phone, Ecamm is great. I like those solutions. I think with anything, Rob kind of mentioned this, it's a lot, even with those paid solutions, that you have to kind of commit to. So if video is a thing, maybe kind of wade into it and really just think about instead of maybe do a full video episode, maybe you're only doing clips of it, or you're doing just kind of, using your phone saying, hey, I just put out an episode. Like wade into the video world before diving headfirst.
Yeah, I would say you also have to think about, is it just video or do you really just want to do live stream? Do you want to record it online?
Yeah.
Because all of those things are something to think through. And in order to do that, Squadcast does video, Riverside FM does video, StreamYard does a really great job. I think for me, StreamYard is probably the easiest to get into because it does a lot of really wonderful things in the easiest way possible. Restream does the same thing.
Yep.
We mentioned Ecamm already, and Zoom actually is doing a really good job with a lot of the way that they're up-leveling their output for both video and audio. And as of now, the AI components of Zoom are pretty incredible. So you can have show notes done by the end of your Zoom recording. And you can actually do it just yourself. You could record yourself just using Zoom. You can test that out and see how that works. So that's something for you to think about in moving forward. All right. Well, I think we are going to wrap it up, folks. Does anybody else want anything to say here in the crew here to send people off? And then I'll give our CTAs and call it a day, my friends. Anything? You're all quiet.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yes. Happy holidays.
Woohoo. Yay.
Started today.
We'll be here in 2024, of course, doing another live. We're going to be focusing on marketing for our first live in January. So please, please, please subscribe to the channel and be notified, because it's going to be an astounding live with so much information. But also we have Dave's onboarding webinar, he just comes in here and chats with y'all. It's on December 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to learn from Dave, he's going to be here next week, and you just have to show up and chat with him, and he will talk you through all kinds of amazing things that are happening for us. But thank you all for showing up and being so engaged with us today. This has been amazing. And thank you, Dave and Rob and Brian, for appeasing me on my idea to want to do this.
I love it.
I appreciate it. And on that note, thank you so much, everybody. And we will see you all in 2024. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.